Hello, everyone. Tonight, we are going to talk about what it feels like when someone promises you forever and then signs a lease with someone else like you were never in the blueprints. It's like being handed a key to a home that doesn't exist. You might be shocked to hear this story, but maybe not. Maybe you've already lived it in your own way. Before I started this emotional story, I thought a lot about whether to tell it or not. I struggled a lot and decided to tell you about my incident. Please support me to be more confident in the following stories by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Now, close the door, turn off the lights, and draw the curtains. A little candle would be nice. Let's go on a journey together tonight. It started on a Sunday. You had just made pancakes. Not the boxed kind, but the kind where you actually measured flour, cracked eggs like a pro, and got syrup in places syrup should never be. He walked into the kitchen wearing your hoodie, the gray one, the one he always borrowed, but never returned. He kissed you on the cheek and said, "I could do this forever." And you believed him, 'cause why wouldn't you? He said it all the time. Forever. Forever after coffee. After concerts. After your cousin's wedding where he caught the bouquet and winked. He even wrote it once on a Post-it and stuck it to your bathroom mirror. Forever looks good on us. And yet, here we are. You remember the cracks now. The way he got jumpy when his phone buzzed after 10 p.m. The vague new friend from his gym. We just lift together. The night he said he was too tired to talk, but had freshly styled hair when he walked in the door. You noticed. Of course you noticed. But you were invested. Committed. Optimistic, some would say. Delusional, others might whisper. But you were just someone who believed people mean it when they say forever. Here's the controversial truth. Forever doesn't mean forever. It just means for now, until something shinier shows up. It was a random Tuesday when you found out. You dropped by his place to surprise him with takeout. The kind of spontaneous romance move you thought people still wrote poems about. You had Thai food in one hand, a soft playlist humming from your phone in the other. The door wasn't locked. Inside, he wasn't alone. No, it wasn't that kind of dramatic scene. No scandalous moment. No lipstick on the collar. Just him and a woman, sitting side by side at his kitchen table, laptops open, documents spread out, both smiling in that tight professional way. You hesitated, stood there in the doorway with takeout growing cold and the silence thickening like overcooked rice. He looked up, not shocked, just caught. Like you'd shown up to a meeting you were never invited to. You asked, very calmly, you still pride yourself on this, "What's going on?" He said, "It's not what it looks like." Which, fun fact, is almost always a sign that it is exactly what it looks like. You tilted your head, gestured to the paper in front of them. Lease agreement. 2 names, his and hers. You asked, "Are you moving in with her?" He blinked, paused, said, "It's complicated." You nodded. Because that's what you do when someone hands you heartbreak and calls it logistics. She stood up and excused herself. He followed her to the door. Didn't even offer you a chair. You stood there, still holding that bag of pad thai, wondering if the fortune cookie had predicted this. Spoiler, it didn't. It just said, "Big changes are coming." Ha. Hilarious. When he came back, he didn't apologize. He said, "We were never really building anything." Like the late-night talks, shared playlists, and Christmas ornaments you picked out together were just trial runs. You said nothing. You couldn't find a word that didn't taste like salt. He asked if you were okay. You said yes. Because sometimes yes is just code for ask me again so I can scream. He asked if you wanted to talk about it later. You said no, because if forever could be undone with a signature and a moving truck, then what was left to discuss? You left the food on the counter, walked out, didn't cry until the elevator hit the lobby, didn't scream until you reached your car, didn't call anyone for 2 days. You just existed. Barely. Your apartment felt too quiet. Your phone, too loud. You played his favorite show, then shut it off. You stared at your own lease. Your name, just yours. No cosigner, no complication. And still, you felt like the one who lost something. The next morning, your neighbor asked if you were okay. You said yes. Again, lie count 3. You Googled H. You stopped leaving the hallway light on. Not because you stopped hoping he'd walk through the door, but because you finally realized he wasn't lost. He knew exactly where he was going. The apartment, their apartment, was 3 neighborhoods away. You mapped it once, not because you planned to go, but because your brain enjoys torturing you with geographical betrayal. You imagined their kitchen, her coffee mugs mixed in with his, your spatula, probably still labeled in Sharpie, somewhere in the drawer. You couldn't stop picturing it. The lease date burned into your brain. Same day he'd taken you to that flea market and bought you a second-hand ring, just for fun. Apparently, it wasn't. You remember when he told you about his dream home, big windows, a hammock, maybe a golden retriever named something ridiculous like Toast. He told you that, and then bought it with her. You laughed once, out loud, in your bathroom, looking in the mirror, because your reflection said, "What kind of person packs promises into boxes and ships them to another woman?" Here's the answer. The kind of person who's already gone before he tells you he's leaving. Mutual friends stopped making eye contact with your Instagram stories. You could tell who knew. The ones who said, relationships are hard. The ones who said nothing. One sent you a text. Hey, I didn't want to get in the middle, but I thought you should know. He posted the apartment on his story. He tagged her. You clicked, you watched, you saw her twirl in the empty living room. He filmed it. Your voice cracked without a sound. You didn't unfollow. You wanted to know, even when you didn't want to know. The human brain is a strange little masochist. It craves answers more than healing. You found an old email, one he wrote during your 2nd month of dating. I've never felt more at home in someone before. You stared at that sentence like it owed you rent. And that's when the shift began. Because the emails, the playlists, the promises, they weren't souvenirs anymore. They were evidence of how easily someone can write a love story in pencil and erase it without smudging. You walked past a home decor store one day and saw a doormat that said, welcome-ish, depends on who you are. You laughed again, bought it, put it outside your apartment, because petty is one of the stages of grief, and it's more fun than denial. One night, you ran into his sister at a grocery store. She hugged you, said, I didn't know. You didn't cry. You said, it's okay. She said, he's a moron. You said, I know. Then you both looked at a box of cereal like it held secrets. Then she said something strange. You made him better. I hope you know that. And for some reason, that hurt more than everything else, because you didn't want to be the prequel to someone else's happy ending. You wanted to be the ending. You started changing things after that. Moved your bed. Got rid of the hoodie he left behind. It didn't smell like him anymore. Just detergent and delusion. You made space. physically, emotionally. Threw out the candle you lit every Sunday night when you thought love needed ambiance. Burned sage, not because you believed in energy cleansing, but because the smoke felt symbolic. You told your best friend everything. She brought wine. You drank it out of coffee mugs because life's too short for matching glassware when you're mourning a lease you never signed. She said, "You deserve someone who doesn't flinch when they say forever." You nodded, not because you believed it yet, but because it was nice to hear. You started going on walks again. No destination, no soundtrack, just your feet remembering how to move forward. You passed a couple once, laughing, hands intertwined, and instead of bitterness, you felt tired. Tired of carrying someone else's choices like they were yours to explain. And that's when the real healing started. Not with a bang, but with a soft, tired exhale. The kind that says, "I lived through that, and I'm still here." Odd fact. In Japan, broken pottery is mended with gold. It's called kintsugi, the art of highlighting the crack, not hiding it. You aren't whole in the same way you were before, but you are mended in a way you weren't before either. You don't hate him. You don't wish him well either. You wish him distance, a quiet, comfortable silence between you and that chapter. That's all. You open your phone, delete the thread, block the story, archive the photos. You don't need a backup. You're not going back. You didn't throw everything out. You kept the plant. The one you both picked out at that street market. The one he said looked resilient. It's still on your windowsill, still alive, still thriving somehow. You considered renaming it, settled on closure. Felt appropriate. Because healing doesn't always look like a dramatic purge. Sometimes it looks like watering something you once shared. For yourself now. The drawer, his drawer, took longer. You opened it one night, half out of habit, half out of habit. Inside, a phone charger, a movie ticket stub, one of his socks, just one, and a folded note he wrote during a fight when he wanted to make it right. You sat there on the floor, cross-legged like a kid sorting through a box of summer clothes in winter. You read the note. It said, "Even when we argue, I know you're mine." You smiled at the arrogance of it, as if love was about ownership, as if you were a thing he could file under mine while apartment hunting with someone else. You crumpled the note, uncrumpled it, then folded it neatly and tossed it in the trash with the soft grace of someone finally learning detachment isn't rage. It's release. You stood up and emptied the drawer, wiped it clean, ran your hand across the bottom like a goodbye. And you didn't cry. Not this time. You rearranged your room after that. Not because of some self-help article, but because the energy was wrong. You moved your bed to the other wall, swapped out the lamp, got new sheets, navy blue, mature, peaceful, yours. And then you did the unthinkable. You downloaded a dating app, didn't even flinch. Your profile said, "Recovering optimist, still believes in good people, into plants, playlists, and people who text back." You weren't ready for love, but you were ready for honesty. You went on one date. Nice guy. Laughed at your jokes, held the door open. Didn't once mention a lease or a shared future in week 2. You kept the conversation light. Told him you were just looking for connection, not commitment. He nodded, said, "Same," and meant it. It felt weird, and real, and human. Later that night, you journaled. You wrote, "He said forever, but I said yes to me." You paused, stared at the page, underlined it. Because the truth is, you were always the one keeping the promises. He said forever, but you meant it. And that's the difference. Here's another strange thing. You passed their apartment last week. You didn't plan to. It was on the way to your friend's birthday dinner. The lights were off, the blinds closed. Nothing personal on the porch, just a potted plant. Half dead. You didn't feel anything, just peace. Like the ache had been replaced with air. Like your chest finally remembered how to expand without his name taking up room. You walked away, didn't look back. And that's when it hit you. He signed a lease with her. But you reclaimed the deed to your own life. You built something better. Not louder, not flashier, just more true. And now you don't want revenge, or an apology, or to be proven right. You just want mornings where the coffee tastes like comfort, nights where the silence isn't lonely, it's restful. People who stay when the music stops, and love that doesn't need a disclaimer. So when someone tells you they'll stay forever, you'll smile, because you now know how to stay with yourself first. And that's the real lease. Signed, sealed, no co-signer required. You're still here, and that means something. It means the story didn't end when he walked out. It didn't end when the lease went through, or when the drawer was emptied, or when the plant almost died. It kept going, quietly, softly, like you. Maybe you're listening to this with one hand on your chest, feeling the pulse of everything you've survived. Maybe your room is dark, but your heart is buzzing, because something inside knows. You're coming back to yourself. And this time, there's no rushing, no begging, no proving you're worth staying for. You already are. So exhale. Let go of the timeline. Let go of the questions. Let go of the version of you that believed forever had to come, with a lease agreement and matching coffee mugs. You don't need perfect closure. You need peace. And tonight, even if it's quiet, even if it's just a tiny whisper in your ribs, you have that. You're not the one who left. You're the one who lived. And that's the real story. Thank you, and good night. If you've ever been promised forever by someone who couldn't last the season, share your story in the comments. And if you'd like more gentle, honest stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and support this space. We're healing here, one midnight story at a time.